It's a surprise. It's a surprise. And I planned to have this speech for 10 hours. But you know what I'll do? I'll cut it short. I'll bring it to 30 minutes or lesser. Okay. I know that everybody here is very tired, so I'll just go straight to the point. Yeah, please. So, to continue, I want to thank everybody for this opportunity given to me to express and talk about Nollywood movies and the importance of African movies in Europe. I don't know, how many of you here knows what this word Nollywood means? How many? Have you ever heard of Nollywood movies? Yeah, that's exactly the response I hoped for. So, in the next few minutes, to cut everything short, I'll be talking about the importance of this industry called Nollywood and why should we in Europe, what is the importance in Europe? Why should our children watch those movies? If you can allow me travel with your minds, let's just take a trip back in the days, back in the ages where there were no televisions. The time when you see a gathering of old people, very old, gray hair. You see them sitting around with young generation. You see them telling stories. They will sit amidst, you see something like logs of firewood set ablaze, and these old men and women will be drinking from a cup of palm wine, and they'll be telling historical stories, stories that really impart the value and the history of Africa. Nollywood, as the word says, comes from Africa. Its origin is from Nigeria. And the movies they produce is something to do with the cultural, the tradition, the values of Africa. So that when you have your children, you can teach them, you can show them the norms. You can tell them how to respect their elders. It's like a kind of education. So, but then when you think about where does this comes from? There was in the years of from the 1970s, there was nothing like Nollywood. There were people like a Yoruba theater group. They had very good performance in theater, in arts. These people dove straight into production, into movie production. They were using a kind of format that was so local by that time called celluloid. It's a very small database material to work with. But they try to use it to project the stories that they think is important for the African. They were using native languages to do all these stories. So going forward, I want to talk about from the metamorphosis from then till now. How does this movie transformed from the data they were using by that time till now? And how does this industry have that knowledge? Because there was a lot of problems that was facing African movies by that time. We have problems of technical know-how. We don't have sufficient materials to work with. We don't have enough good, steady electricity supply. We don't have good roads. When you're going to project a movie, what you see is like hold up. You see like traffic jams. These are a lot of problems that the industry was facing. Before this Nollywood, as an industry was officially born, there were a lot of movies that was produced. Most of them were like in native languages. Nollywood is today a very big industry. After 1992, That was when we had this movie called Living in Bondage. After this Living in Bondage was produced and released, then comes this name Nollywood. That is when people can now go back home, go to a market to buy a cassette. There was a cassette to be bought. It's not like these days we have Blu-ray, we have a lot of database to transform these movies on. Then we had something that is, you just have to put it and you watch it. The quality is very poor. The sound is not good, but the people love it. Why do the people love these movies? Because these movies tells our own story. Like the last speaker was saying, Europeans have been projecting Africa in another way. These one-sided stories, the problem with it is not that it's only untruth or it's not reality. The problem with one-sided stories is incomplete. It's not complete. So how can we tell our children the complete version of these stories? So that is why this industry have been struggling to try to project African stories, African cultures, the values, the tradition that we have. This industry is trying to bring it on a wider world. And today, I must say, they have tried their best. Now, people around the world, people in United States of America, people in Asia, you see people all over Africa, they go out there, they buy Nollywood movies, they watch it. Like we are here now in Europe. What is the importance of this movie for us? To go on, I would like to use this opportunity to show a small clip. That's a clip of the movie I produced, 2009. When you watch this movie, you see that, excuse me? So maybe because I'm nervous, I don't know. So when you watch this movie, you see that from 2009 till now, this industry has been changing because we have this passion to tell our stories. We have this passion to tell the people that Africa is not only about war. It's not only about starvation. It's not only about hunger, crisis, epidemic, sickness. There are still some good side of the story. There are still, like the last speaker was saying, she was talking about one-sided story. And this is what the media, the European media, have been projecting about us. Why do I want to show this small preview? I want to emphasize that we are just trying, no matter how hard it is, to project our stories. This story, I produced it, that was 2009. It's about the story of two immigrants that came from Africa to Germany. How do they survive? Why are they there? What makes them? Why can't them, study? What is the problem they went through? Because each of us here have our own stories to tell. But how do we do that? We cannot wait for the Europeans, for Europeans media to come to us and ask us, please, I want to show your story. So we have to do it. We have to do it by ourselves. We have to let the world know that this is Africa. This is what we have. These are problems that we have. We have to project it in our own way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me use this opportunity to click on one of the previews so that you see, for most of us that doesn't know what Nollywood is all about. It's about home videos. It's about real-life stories. It's not about going to the screen room, a green screen, putting everything with so much effect. It's about the reality that we're facing day by day. So let me not waste much of your time. Let me just use this white word there to press this. Let's see if it's going to play. Thank you so much. That was just to demonstrate the stories that we have. What you just saw is just a story of two normal black Africans from Nigeria. They came to survive in Europe. One of them came purposely to further his studies, you know. So these stories has to be told. If we don't tell these stories, nobody will know what is happening when a black young man goes to the foreign office to get his visa, for example. That being shown, I'd like to go forward by telling you a very small story. Whenever I'm home, whenever I want to watch African movies, African promo, I have a 3-year-old daughter. Whenever I put a promo of African movie, this girl will start shouting, "Papa Africa, Papa Africa." I say, "What? Do you know what the movie is all about? You speak Dutch, you don't even understand what they're saying." She said, "Papa Africa." I said, "You want to go to Africa?" She said, "Yes." You know? So our children, what can we teach them? How can we tell them about African roots and heritage without Nollywood movies? What is the importance of these movies here in Europe? We have brothers, sisters, cousins all over the world. We have everybody. We have a lot of people living in Europe. How do you tell them where they are coming from? As I was researching, I was thinking, what can I do? I mean, what kind of projection can I show? Because the movie that we are doing is something for a wider world. Then it came to my mind, I said, okay, why not do a very short video about racism? Since we all know racism is a global problem. And how can you fight racism? You can only fight racism if European media, if European televisions, if these movies, Nollywood movies, the good ones about the roots, about the tradition, about African culture, if we can have a way to bring these movies to be shown on cinema, to be shown on televisions, somebody can only respect your culture when this person understands exactly where you are coming from. Somebody can respect you when this person knows your roots. But we don't have this channel. We don't have this distribution channel. We don't have this channel where you can say, okay, look at this African movie, let's show it on screen, because you're not coming from Hollywood. So the importance of these films is for us to know exactly where we are coming from. So talking about racism, you experience racism every day by day in the streets and everywhere. So that's why, without taking much of your time, I know everybody's tired here, let me show you a small clip. This clip was shot on Tuesday, last Tuesday. Yeah. So what actually happened is this. When I called my partner, I said, man, I have to project something. I have not done a speech before. This is my first speech. So what should I project that the people will look at it and think? I said, okay, I have a small story. Can we do it? He said, yeah, why not? Come, Elvis, we'll do it. I said, man, this is on Thursday. How can we fix it together? He said, I will not sleep. I will edit this movie until it's done. So let me just show you what we came out with. It's not going to take much of your time. It's for us to know exactly why should we tell our stories. We are telling our stories to give education. We are telling our stories to preserve African culture and heritage. We are telling our stories for the wider world to know how we feel. We are telling our stories to fight racism, for people to understand us, for people to know where we are coming from, for people to know what we go through day by day. So this is one of the stories. The story continues. The story continues. Because this thing called racism is like a virus. It's evil. But people don't understand it. I mean, there are stories to be told. That is why in Africa, we have this big industry called Nollywood. And this industry have been striving hard to compete with Hollywood, with Bollywood. We don't have much money. We don't have much technical equipment. We don't have much infrastructure that will help us tell our stories. But still, we keep on going on. It's because of the passion. It's because of the passion to preserve the values, the tradition, the culture, so that we have something to pass on to our children. If these movies can find its way to Europe, if Nollywood movies as a whole can be projected in the cinema, as I said before, then we will not get this one-sided part of the story. As Europeans see Africa, it will change. The people mindset will change from this hate, from this negative side of the story to the other side of the story. Then you now watch movies, you see, okay, this is how Africans live. This is how they communicate. This is how they are when they are at home. I mean, how do they do with each other? So that is why Nollywood movies is important for we all. Alicia Stone wrote, and I quote, she said that creativity sparks originality, which then manifests itself to what we call evolution, unquote. So African movies have come a long way, and it's here to stay. So I believe that if banks, investors can believe and invest in African movies, maybe we can go a long way. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to see this second opportunity of telling the story, telling the African story, as the last speaker said. But the question is, has Nollywood corrected the image of Africa this way?
I can answer that first, I mean, if it's okay. So the question is if Nollywood has corrected the bad images that's been, the answer is this. In Nollywood, a lot of people are making movies, but they are good ones. The good ones have tried to put the face of Africa on a wider world. Now, some people know what African tradition is, because without those movies, you will not know how will a native man, a typical native man, behave when his or her daughter wants to get married, for example. What is the reaction of an African that have never gone to Europe, that have not seen a white person before? What is the reaction when this person sees a white man? These stories are stories that affect our life, affect politics, economics, the thing that every day-by-day man lives. Your question goes thus: if these have tried, or in a way, changed the one story type movies or what the media project about Africa, I say yes, it has. Because a lot of people have come to know that Africa is not only about hunger and starvation, that Africa still have some other things, some other cultural values. So that is why Nollywood is there and is there to stay. And the stories that we are telling is our own story. We don't want to wait for foreigners to come and tell our story the way they want it to be told. So I would say yes.
Can I ask one question? I guess like everybody's interested. These clips we were looking at today, can we find it somewhere like online, Netflix, or some legal research? Thank you.
Like the first one. The first one is a movie I did 6 years ago. So I just wanted to project it because it's really about Nollywood. It's really about African that is living in Europe, because we are all here in Europe. So what affects our life. Like this movie, you can see it online. I think it's still with, I don't know, it's long ago. But I think it's still online. I can give you maybe a link. Maybe you can download it from there, buy it from there, I don't know, whatever. But this small one that we did, like I said, we did it on Tuesday. We finished the editing today. So from tomorrow, you're going to see it on YouTube. Yeah, we just did it so that I have something to project, because honestly speaking, this is my first presentation, so I'm kind of nervous. But that's it. That's the answer. It's on YouTube from tomorrow.
Thank you very much. You should try to advertise it on our webpage. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Can I go now? Thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Princess. I'm from France, but I'm a Nigerian. And one thing many people don't know about me is that I'm a filmmaker. So when I see you standing here, and presenting yourself. And I think there's some comment I need to make about it, because one of the questions the professor have already answered is, first, the image you are giving us, the image of Nigeria that you are projecting as Nollywood. A few years ago, almost 10 years ago, the image of Nollywood was really bad compared to what it is now, because I went to Nigeria recently and I saw the film on DSTV. They were showed on DSTV. And some of them I saw, and there were some I actually commented on them positively, and there were some I had to just criticize them from the beginning, because as a filmmaker, as a writer and everything, I had to look, I don't just see film the way everybody sees film, I had to look at it from a very critical perspective of it. And I would like to tell you something, that when you're talking about looking for foreign investors, about maybe investors, investing in an African movie, they have to think first about quality, not quantity. I understand that African has to project themselves in a way, but when I saw the first film that you project, maybe now you must be having a second thought that maybe that shouldn't have been. Because understandably, when you give that kind of image, is that everybody's, it's like these migrants are coming into, they were being oppressed or something. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, I don't know about everybody's opinion here, I am not comfortable with this image. Because it's really giving a very bad image of Nigeria. Even maybe people were laughing, but I couldn't join them, because for me, this is not how it's supposed to be. And that's the problem of, you said 5 years ago you shot this film. And for me, 10 years ago, Nollywood was in that area before, but now they are improving, because definitely they must have been getting an internal finance or something. And I've seen other productions that Nollywood have done with foreign white authors and actresses. And I can tell you that they were doing perfectly well. So maybe you should need to look out at the aspect of the production quality, because no foreign investor will look at, it's not about camera, it's not about production, it's not about the team, it's not about the pre-production, post-production, whatever. It's about the quality, what you are going to give to them. And I think that's what you should look at. And then when you're thinking about projecting Africa, please do me a favor. Don't even think about immigrants or something. I want to see, even if you're going to mix up the white and the black together, let them come in a way that you project Africa in a positive way, not that we are here begging, not that we're here struggling, not that we're here, because it's really disturbing for me. Even in my writing, when I'm talking about women, I don't talk about African women trying to make themselves with a white man to get a visa. I don't do that. I tell them, I used to show the strength of an African woman, an African child, and I think that's what you should be doing now, because otherwise we're going to have problems in the next 20 years from now about the image of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please, let's have some respect for speaking.
Yeah, let me cut it very, very short. The preview that I showed was to show, if you take a look at the preview that was did 9 years ago, 6 years ago, and what we did yesterday, you see the difference of the quality. So why should I project that? I am projecting it to say that African movies, Nigerian movies, is going under this metamorphosis phase. We are trying to grow. We are trying to grow day by day, from video cassette to VCD, from VCD to DVD, from DVD to Blu-ray. Now, African movies... Wait, the storyline, when you watch the movie...
Excuse me, we need to please be respectful of our speakers and their time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about the storyline.
It would be more appropriate if you could have the conversation after the conference.
It's about the storyline. But let me just, I need a second. The storyline is about immigrants in Europe. Why should they do what they do? You cannot project Africa that everything is good. There are some bad things in Africa as well. And for immigrants in Europe, there are good ones, there are bad ones. So when you have to watch the movie first, then you can now sit down and criticize. The movie, the storyline is about two immigrants. They came here to study. They didn't come here to sell drugs. If you go to police files, if you go to Auslander Behörder, you only see that Africa and the foreigners living in Europe are being projected in a bad way. Nobody cares if you had an education. Nobody want to know if you are a graduate or not. They will see you as a black man on the street. They will say either you are washing plates or you are a teller washer. So why is this way? Why should somebody that came all the way from Africa come to Europe and start making things like criminal things? Why? There must be a reason. There is a driving force that pushed the criminal ones to do this criminality. And when you watch this movie, you will understand why. Then after understanding why, this is just a 6 minutes preview of the movie. You can see Ngozi Eziono playing as the mother. She was worried. Why is my son doing bad things in Europe? So when you watch something like this, when you watch a movie like this is not only Nollywood. This is just what people here did to tell their story. Everyday life, what they go through. When you go to Osanda Beholder, how do you change your visa? How are things like this happening? When you meet somebody on the street and the person calls you a black monkey, what are you going to do? You're going to break this person's head? How does it affect your life? So before you condemn this movie, I would suggest you get a copy of it, then you watch it. After watching this movie, the story from beginning to end, then you will understand.
Yeah, very, very short one. I mean, I have totally different opinion with respect to her because I don't need actually to watch the entire movie to get your point. If I just rely on the last movie you just showed, we have learned quite a lot. And if the European or the German or people look at this movie, I think they should be really careful next time when they have to face a foreigner. I think this is a lot that we are learning from that. So,
thank you so much.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
She wants to say something now. I want to hear what she said.
Okay,
Give her a minute, please.
Very brief. This is like such exception.
Well, I just want to say, for me, I am from Tanzania, and I have really known a lot about Nigeria through Nollywood. So I really understand when you say, like, this is the way of telling your own story. And at the same time, it helps us within Africa also to know ourselves, because it's also integrate ourselves inside, because we need also like cultural diplomacy inside our own nation, inside Africa itself. So for me, I really think you are really doing a very good job. And actually, Nollywood is one of the very famous movie industry in Africa, and is the one which really tells a lot about Africa, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.